One shot. One short. Hit hard. Shot.
Oh, he's taking some blows here. Nice severe blow to Michael Clarke. This is a proper working over.
He's taken a few blows, but will be back to fight another day. $50 up.
That's the way.
And 4, which means 100 for David Warner. What a place to get 100. What a moment in your life. Newlands in Cape Town.
Good day of Test match cricket comes to an end. Australia had stops on day 1, 331 for 3.
Here we go for the start of day 2 of this final Test match, South Africa versus Australia. What a day this has got to be for South Africa. I guess that's the bottom line after it was controlled superbly yesterday by Australia. They won the toss and elected to bat. It's overcast today. South Africans are going to be hoping there's going to be a bit of swing around, and they need wickets. They've done it before at this venue, picked up wickets in the first session, and it is one of those venues where wickets do tend to fall early. They've got that second new ball as well, but I'd imagine there's 1 or 2 bowlers who will be a little bit weary after having to carry some extra workload yesterday with Dale Steyn off the park. And the news about Dale Steyn, by the way, is not great. We'll talk more about that shortly. But here comes Michael Clarke, the skipper, who endured a torrid session yesterday. One of the finest little battles I think we've ever seen in Test cricket between Michael Clarke and Morne Morkel yesterday, and his partner Smith on 50 as well. It's been about partnerships so far for Australia. They really have been very good indeed, and they're in a commanding position with only 3 wickets down. I've got Kepler and Michael holding alongside me. Mikey, first of all, reflections of yesterday.
Tough day in the field for South Africa. As I said, without Dale Steyn, they will be struggling a bit. But what was very impressive was the way that Michael Clarke dealt with Morne Morkel and survived all that. If you have a look at that card, you'll see how much good work Australia have done. Not a lot of runs for Rogers and Doolan, but good partnerships at the top of the order. That is exactly what they needed. Warner and Rogers and Warner and Doolan put good partnerships together to set up nice, sound foundation. And 331 for 3, that's a good start for day 1.
Absolutely. Morning, Kepler.
Morning, Michael. Such a good feeling from a batting point of view. If you come to the ground and you're 92 not out like Michael Clarke is, and also all 50 not out like Steve Smith is. So that is a good feeling. Kyle Abbott has got overcast conditions to work with today. An opportunity for him, in the absence of Dale Steyn, to stamp his authority on the match and see if he can get some movement this first hour. Very important from South Africa's point of view.
They went at over 4.5 in the first couple of hours yesterday. They pegged it back a little bit, South Africa, but still only 3 wickets down at stumps, and that run rate at 3.76 is still terrific going from Australia. Kyle Abbott's a sort of bloke who will get some movement with a new ball. Players are expecting some swing this morning. Track looks more like a start of a day 3 track to me. Those cracks have certainly widened from yesterday morning considerably. We're going to have to watch that a little bit as we go on. It's nothing too alarming at this stage, but come day 5, I think there's going to be some real incentive there for someone like Nathan Lyon, and maybe a little bit of variable bounce, which does happen in Test cricket, but more like a day 3 track at the start of day 2 to me.
Should be a bit of reverse swing as well at that stage on this dry surface. So Kyle Abbott.
Almost. From the Kelvin Grove end. Let's have another go. Take 2, Kyle. Back in the lineup, keen to impress. 17 overs under his belt at this stage. Not in the wicket columns yet. Just a little bit of a wobble there as it went past the batsman, as it went through to A.B. de Villiers.
Certainly presents that seam. Once you have that seam hitting that deck on a regular basis, every now and again, one will do something.
Smith on 50. That's what he did actually at Supersport Park when he played so well and got his 100. Smith, he started the innings, he left so well, took his time to get used to the surface. There's no doubt the track is going to carry a little bit better today.
It's been impressive, understands his game plan well, plays to his strengths.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with that dismissal in Port Elizabeth either when he got 49. He didn't think he got an edge on that. That was sent upstairs for DRS. We could see there was just a little flicker on real-time Snicko. Just a simple technique, Mikey. Just a really simple technique.
Yeah, but even that simple technique has improved, I think over the last 12 months or so. Initially, it looked a little bit out of the ordinary, but he has tightened up a bit.
He does have that rare ability. I mean, we've talked about the fact that he's so fluid in his stroke play and likes to play his shots. He has that rare ability of sometimes he's not right in exactly the correct spot. He still plays the shot and plays it well, particularly when driving on the offside.
So good start for Kyle Abbott, nice and tight, bowling a good line and a good length. Not a great deal of movement yet. South Africa will really try and create pressure this morning, make it difficult for Australia to score, and hope that that'll bring them wickets.
Another solid leave through to the keeper, just making Kyle get things nice and straight. Mikey, looks like Michael Clarke's decided to put something on today to protect himself.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's just a matter of mind games yesterday. He didn't want to put it on yesterday for anyone to think, okay, all those short balls have really disturbed me. I need some protection. Yesterday, got a serious blow on that arm and he kept it unguarded. But this morning, sensible idea.
Yeah, agreed. Kept the physio busy. Straight, nice solid drive. Again, a good indication of driving on you up there from Smith. End of the first over, a maiden. 3-3-1 for 3.
Sort of start that Graham Smith would have been looking for from Kyle Abbott. And there's the bowling figures. Dale Steyn unfortunately getting injured yesterday. Morné Morkel bowled aggressively, he bowled well. Unfortunately, no wickets for him. And then work for Duminy and Dean Elgar as well.
Ten overs and 1 ball to Dale Steyn, and just some further news about that hamstring. It's not looking good. It's a strain, and apparently he's limping quite severely this morning. So I think it's unlikely that we're going to see him for the rest of this test match unless Brandon Jackson, the physiotherapist, can do something miraculous. So that's disappointing news for South Africa. He's the go-to man, but I think this morning this is the bloke who's going to be looking to do some work. You can see there's a nice breeze. He'll be looking ideally to shape the ball away from the right-hander, so it's not the right breeze for him to do that, but he'll just be quite happy if there's a little bit off this deck, something he can work with. 2 slips and a gully for Michael Clarke on 92.
Bit of swing there for Vernon Philander. A little bit surprised that Morné Morkel hasn't started proceedings this morning after he bowled so well yesterday and with such aggression. There's that little bit of movement I talked about earlier, just away from the right-hander. I would have thought Morné would have had one of the ends this morning, first up with a new ball.
I haven't seen a lot of Kyle Abbott, so it's difficult for me to really assess what he is capable of doing on this pitch. But I certainly agree with those sentiments there, Keps. Having someone with real pace at one end and then someone is moving the ball around at the other end. And then the captain would have to decide, okay, which end is the best for the man with the pace, which end is the best for the man that's going to be getting a bit of movement. Where's the wind? That sort of a thing.
I'm also not sure that they've got it right with Vernon bowling from that end either. Vernon Philander was bowling from the end that Kyle Abbott started from. There'd certainly be some swing away from the right-handers.
Yeah, you've also got to put yourself in the batsman's mind. I mean, who would they least like to face first thing this morning after what happened yesterday? Definitely Morne Morkel. So now they get a chance to play themselves in before Morne comes on.
Yeah, let's just explain that a little bit further about this wind. That's where the wind is coming at the moment. It's quite a strong breeze. Now Vernon likes to bowl with a bit of swing away from the right-hander, so that that strong wind coming in is actually going to be negating. You actually saw the first ball that's over actually swung back into AB de Villiers after it passed the batsman. So it's going to be negating the swing that he might get if he'd swapped ends. Yeah, I think your point is very valid, boys. I mean, it's exactly what you've got to be thinking about. What would the batsman not want to do? I mean, Michael Clarke, 92 not out. What does he not want to do? Face Morkel again this morning. Same as Smith. Second new ball.
Sorry, mate. The guy walking. The guy walking across. Right near the camera.
Yesterday, I think also it was an interesting situation, and yes, we're the first to admit that obviously Steyn was off the park, but that magnificent 5 overs that Morkel bowled to Michael Clarke was so intense. I mean, it was just brilliant stuff. Memories of Donald and Atherton to me. But unfortunately, at the other end, it was Dean Elgar with a bit of spin. So that pressure was suddenly released dramatically once he got through those 6 balls each over. JP chasing that. Takes a couple now to 94, Michael Clarke. 3-3-3 for 3. Come on, Mikey, what about some intense fast bowling clashes? Of course, you and Jeff Boycott in Barbados, that's one I think a lot of people will remember. If you haven't seen it, it's worth looking on the net.
Didn't last very long.
No, it didn't. It's a pretty quick one.
How many balls?
Just an over.
Abbott's gone up for that one, but it looks like it might be sliding down. Let's see what Graeme Smith decides. He's going to have a chat to AB de Villiers. AB de Villiers quite likes it. He's said to Graeme Smith, have a chat to the bowler, and do you trust the bowler?
It depends on who the bowler is. We know Vernon Philander certainly likes to send it upstairs. This is doing a bit too much, I think. Definitely going down leg. Good decision not to ask the third umpire to get involved.
Yeah, it's a big part of the game these days to know when to send it upstairs for review and when not to. Graeme Smith was the first to admit that he didn't get it right in that last test in Port Elizabeth. Got it right this time. What an edge.
Good bowling by Kyle Abbott. It's bowling perfect length to Steve Smith this morning. Good line as well. Not giving anything away.
.94 to Clarke. On the leg side easily. Too straight again from Vernon Philander. Morne Morkel's trotting after this one. The ball's going to win. It's going to take him now to 98.
Well, beautifully played on drive. Very good balance. Michael Clarke. He stands still at the crease. Nice and upright over the top of this ball.
Yeah, last time he was here, Michael Clarke, he scored a sublime 151 when a lot of the batsmen couldn't lay a bat on the ball. He was playing a completely different game to the rest of the guys, and that game was all over very smartly. Now he's on 98. Quick single, chance, direct hit, might have found him wanting. He was out of the blocks very quickly. Moves to 99 now.
Could have been 103. Morne Morkel did well to back up that throw.
It was a close run thing. Just have a look at Morne Morkel in the background, how well he does. That direct hit would have been out, but just have a look at him backing this throw up.
Oh, cries of wait, yeah, wait. Oh, he would have been out. A direct hit would have found him short, well short. Smith knows it as well. I'm sure Clark also realises. Wait, yeah, wait.
Well, Steve Smith trying to help his captain to get to this 100 by backing up a long way, looking for that single. Bit of a misunderstanding. He went too far.
Brilliantly stopped. Superbly stopped by Dean Elgar. Moving sharply. Faf du Plessis moving sharply to his left. Still on 99, 338 for 3. Oh, that's left. That's gone over the top of the stumps. That has come back considerably. That's a misjudgment from Michael Clark.
That was a close call. Right over the top of the stumps. I suppose Michael Clark would say, well, I left that on length. I knew the bounce in this pitch was consistent. That was too close for comfort, though.
Wow, look at that top shot. Just over the top of the bales. That's brought the crowd alive here at Sahara Park, Newlands. Look from Carl Abbott. How close was that? Still on 99. A loud scream of no to finish that over. Good stuff from Carl Abbott. 340 for 3.
Excellent bowling, 4 maidens in a row. So doing a good job for his captain this morning, Carl Abbott.
Wonderful view for anybody, never mind those overseas. The table mounted, the tablecloth is upon it, and it's going to, they reckon it's going to clear a bit, but we might get some showers, and by tomorrow we should have excellent weather for the rest of the week. Steve Smith on strike here to Vernon Philander. Oh, there's a stroke. Oh, I say, that's out of the top drawer.
I must admit I wasn't expecting that kind of shot, but what a classic shot it is. He's backed himself totally. The length from Finland is pretty full. He's just backed himself, extended the shot, and over the top it's gone. It's gone the whole way. Timing superb.
Look at his elbow here. Look at the control that he has and the way that he holds the bat through the ball. Almost holds it off. Gee.
Just sending a signal to the non-striker saying, look, this is how you do it. Let's get to 100 this way.
Oh, I don't think Clark's in that sort of mood, not after what he's been through. It's lovely to be young and free, isn't it? Gave that some umpty. Right, that means Clark has 4 balls from this over from Philander to manufacture something.
And the interesting thing is, Philander now has had his nest ruffled, if I could put it that way, where Smith's taken him straight down the ground unexpectedly. And he's reacted with a pretty ordinary short ball, which he's been punished to deep square leg. Now, can he get back the concentration that's required to build pressure on Clark? Or is he going to leak one into his legs or drag one down short or wide?
Yeah, well, the only 2 balls he's bowled at him have been outside off stump of a good length. He's done it! Battered, bruised, but not beaten. Michael Clark has made 100 from the Test match trenches here in Cape Town. What a magnificent performance.
And appreciated by all players standing. They understand how difficult it was for Michael Clark to get through yesterday. Not only coming into this game short of runs, such a big match for the Australians. He wanted to lead from the front, and he's done it in the very best way.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of courage, there's no doubt about that. And when you ask him about this Test knock, it might be all down to the mental battle, his own mental battle that he had to fight. But there's the stats: 215 deliveries, 11 fours. And he stands tall.
A genuine half volley presented, but it had to be put away. It had to pierce the infield. He opened the face of the blade and found the boundary. He tried hard to knock his head off yesterday, I can tell you that, and he bowled quickly, Morné Morkel. But he stood firm, Michael Clarke.
Just falls short of second slip. Lovely delivery from Vernon Philander. That's the length for this pitch and many others. And it takes this pair to 150 partnership, that edged boundary.
This is the perfect line of length. Just snips away a touch, squares Michael Clarke up. Gets the outside edge, doesn't carry anywhere near the slip of cordon. To add insult to injury, goes away to the boundary.
.254 balls, Clarke has 78 of them and Smith 71. Now you wouldn't have bet on that. They faced the same amount of balls during the partnership and Clarke scored marginally quicker, which is an illusion in its way. That's a fine stroke. That's a man suddenly relaxed, the weight lifted from the shoulders. The first real piece of free-spirited stroke play. It's 371 for 3.
Yeah, the shackles are off the man's there at short mid wicket for anything that's hit in the air, but he's placed it perfectly. Straight and full. He's just whipped it through mid wicket.
Yeah, the feeling is that he was trying to lift that over the infield to clear the inner ring. Got away with it.
Well, with Morkel back, he immediately appeals for something down the leg side that nobody else is interested in.
It's important here that Morné Morkel manages to find that line, that length that's going to bother both batsmen. Both Abbott and Philander have done a good job in building pressure, but if he comes on and leaks runs, doesn't get it right, it's all undone that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when Clarke gets on strike. What strategy will Morné Morkel employ? Will he come around the wicket again? Look to bowl some short deliveries at Michael Clarke. Will Michael Clarke look to take him on now that he has 100? That should be very interesting, but it hasn't been a great start for Morkel. The wrist positions hasn't been pretty good. Just sliding it down the leg side.
It's nice, that's the length, and one can't help but think that we had a lovely shot from our director of Morné Morkel just after Michael Clarke went to 100, and Morkel was applauding gently, but applauding. And I wonder if he was thinking to himself he missed a trick with Clarke, having roughed him up so effectively and forced him back. We talked in our pre-match show about the possibility of him coming back over the wicket and attacking the stumps, or at least attacking a length and making Clarke play at a ball with some slips in. Smith decides to go over mid-off and does it really well. He's one of the best hitters over the top, and that's 6 as well. Well, I'm sorry, I hadn't. That's a phenomenal shot. What?
You're surprised? How do you think Morkel feels? He'd be shocked. Walk back to the mark thinking, well, that's the last one you're getting in your half.
Yeah, Steve Smith's making a real statement of intent. It's hit high and that's into the wind. It still carries the whole way. He's now moved to 77 and the man's gone back at square leg.
That shot over mid-off was quite like the great English all-rounder Ian Botham, who used to hit over the top on the offside with quite a straight front leg, and always extend the hands and the arms through the ball.
It's been impressive how they've just applied pressure every now and again, Australia. Steve Smith with some big shots at a time where the thought process would have been, ooh, morning, and there is some good weather around in terms of bowling. Maybe the ball will swing a bit. The milestone of Clark coming up. Shots like that. What a shot. He's been brilliant this morning, Steve Smith. That's a no ball as well.
Amazing how long he keeps the bat face going down the line. And it's so easy to close the face on impact, but he's played 3 of these strokes already, 1 off Philander and 2 off Morne Morkel.
Absolutely. Stays, keeps that face exactly on line way after he's hit the ball.
Very selective too. 391 for 3. That's the session, 3.5. The run rate started well in terms of preventing the Australians scoring and scoring quickly. But since the 100 of Clark has got over the milestone, they've been able to put a bit more pressure. Steve Smith at the other end has just continued every now and again, just striking a blow that sets South Africa back.
Would then mean that I feel that there's just still 2 possible results, but then a South African win or a draw. And the reason being is that Australia could do the unthinkable and for some unknown reason get bowled out for 47 at Newlands. So I wouldn't write them off just yet.
Yeah, I don't think good. I think it would be foolish to write anyone off at this stage. It's way early. Way early. Lots of cricket to be played. Oh, didn't quite get to it in the end. Just molded onto the onside. Evaded mid-wicket as well. Yeah, I think the point, certainly the one I'm making, is that you want 400 first up. You take that every time. You bat first, you decide to do that after winning the toss.
179. How easily he just clipped that away. Beautifully played.
It's always a feature of Michael Clark's batting when playing against spin is his footwork. Whether it be going down the wicket or back to play a square cut or a pull shot, but that's just beautiful.
It brings up the 400 as well. Win the toss, bat first. Yep, get a big score. .73 is a good rate of scoring, and the way that the Aussies play, we've spoken a lot about David Warner, and Jack, as you're talking about, when he went out, he was making sure they're going at 4.5 to the over, and South Africa were trying to drag that back. And HD, you were talking about a good grouping, allowing you to get chances. The ball seems to deviate a little bit more, and Warner, as the package he is, so important in that you hit off your areas. And South Africa didn't start well yesterday, and then couldn't really pull it back, despite that middle session where they got things right and bowled well, but Australia were able to withstand that.
You've got to go back to the very first over of the Test match. South Africa fresh off an incredible win in Port Elizabeth where they battered the Australians, both physically and mentally. And the first over that was bowled to Chris Rogers was a poor one. Chucked it on. Elgar's got a wicket.
They needed one, South Africa, and it doesn't matter how it comes. He'll feel so unlucky, Steve Smith. It's short, it's wide, he's looking to cut it, and he just drags it onto his stumps.
Lack of bounce is what undid him. Just didn't bounce to the height that he was playing it at, and drags it back down for a very well played 84, and he played some extraordinary strokes in that as well. All of a sudden would hit Morkel back over his head for 6. Don't see many people do that. 401 for 4.
He's been away for some time. Now back into the side. The important member of this Australian team, Shane Watson. He's been up and down their batting order a little bit throughout his career, where he's opened sometimes, felt that that would be the right spot for him. He's batted at 3 as well, and 4 and 5 probably. Now in at 6. A return from injury. 52 Test matches. 400s and 22 50s for Shane Watson. An average of nearly 36 and a half. And this is why he's there. Steve Smith chopping one on. Taking time before he bowls this. Dean Elgar, a lot of chat as well with A.B. de Villiers. No bat, says Darasina. They're thinking about it, Graham Smith and A.B. de Villiers. It's a question of whether it's bat first or pad first. They're going upstairs. It's close, I tell you. It's very close. It's the arm ball, and that's what they were discussing prior to bowling it. What he'd bowl first up. And he's got it spot on. No worries with the no ball. It's the other end. We want to see what happens first up. Oh, it's pad first. I reckon he's got him. I reckon he's got him, you know.
I think he might just be fractionally outside the line of off stump on impact. It's reasonably high too. We could have an umpire's call here. It doesn't really help that, because it...
I don't see it hitting the pad there though, guys. I'm looking at that, and first one I saw, I thought it hit the pad. All right, it does. Just hits it there. Yeah, from side on as well. Jack, as you're talking height, yeah, there is the height factor. All very close. His glove, it looks like it's his gloves. Yeah, there you go. Stays with it. I reckon he's gone. The gloves is what it's hit. So stay with the call. Richard Illingworth, the man upstairs as the third umpire. 401 for 4. There's another look, and from that angle, it looks like it's just straight onto the glove, if anything, and then onto the face of the bat. Interesting to see that down the line as we saw first up. The hot spot, nothing. Yeah, just a bit of glove, and then onto the middle of the bat.
and sitting on the sidelines after a partnership of 184, which was entertaining to watch. It's a different ball game for him now when he gets out there after. Whoops, he's going to have to dart back. Maybe de Villiers trying to throw that onto the stumps. Bit of a scramble, I think, from Watson in the end. It's been action galore since he arrived.
Would have been gone if he hit. It was a good effort by de Villiers. The throw was high and he tried to get it out of his hands as quickly as possible. It's the second missed opportunity as far as runouts go for South Africa this morning.
So Watson's just arrived. It's been an interesting 7 balls to 3 runs at this stage. Brad Haddin due in next. He hasn't got going at all in this series. Mitchell Johnson's played some handy knocks. Patterson actually hasn't played a first-class game for 223 days. So that's going to be interesting to see how he goes when he gets an opportunity to bowl. No more than a reasonably polite ask. Certainly was patient. Michael Clarke early through the 90s. Spent a long time in the 90s.
It's quite funny, Mark. We often talk about bowlers and where they should or shouldn't bowl. And we've seen Dean Elgar. He's created 2 opportunities for South Africa. One of them was a drop catch. Graham Smith is the last delivery. Pitches on, hits him in line and going on to hit the stump. So if they'd gone upstairs for that one, they might have got themselves another wicket.
Yeah, he's a long way down the track. It's a pretty tough one. So look at this weather now. So this is the wind that does bring some rain in, and it certainly is gathering a little bit. I think we're still a few hours away from a bit of rain. With this sort of wind, it can sweep in pretty briskly. That is the forecast for later. Let's hope it's much later after we get our 90 overs in today, because we've got 3 beautiful days coming up, so that's going to be good. Australia at the moment in a commanding position, 406 for 4. Skipper 126 not out. Last time he was here got 151. It's one of those guys who doesn't settle for small hundreds. He's got a couple of doubles against South Africa. This is testing for the players now. Look at Dean Elgar.
Yeah.
Dean Elgar doing quite a bit of bowling here for South Africa into his 20th over. Not too sure that Graham Smith wants to see him being too successful, though. Doesn't want to be seeing these balls spinning and bouncing. Because that would signal problems later on when South Africa bat.
How has he not taken a single there? He's basically hit the ball 3/4 of the way to the boundary, and he used his feet to get to the pitch of it, so he was ready. A third of the way down the pitch when he made contact.
Wait on.
3 from the over, 407 for 4. Have a look at those partnerships. Look at that. 1 for 65, 2 for 138, 3 for 217, 4 for 401. If you're going to sit down at the start of an innings, the team batting, you're going to say partnerships are key. You'd look at that and reflect and say, well, that's a superb performance. Everyone getting stuck in and everyone contributing. None more so than the bloke who just got 1 on the onside. What a sterling knock this has been. He'll be bruised. Arm guard today, which was a sensible move. Was some concern last night about that arm when he got that nasty battering, and also the jaw when he got one that ricocheted off the point of his shoulder nearly.
Yeah, he went for a net this morning. I don't know if his throwdowns or actually faced some bowlers, but the doctor followed him every step of the way. He didn't let him out of his sight. He just wary about the blow he took to the head yesterday. It was the arm.
Down to third man for 4. Pulled out of that shot in the last over. This time he decides to go for it.
And when you're facing someone like Morne Morkel, there's different ways to try and combat him. Shane Watson's taking the approach of If it's short in length, gives himself a little bit of room and looking to go over the third man area. And he's executed this one pretty well. There we see it off the middle of the bat. Here's the gully in place, so if it's not low, or not high enough, he might find himself in trouble. But he dealt with that well.
Faf du Plessis has now been pushed back a bit deeper at gully. Although he has been pushed back deeper, I think the encouragement to Morne Morkel should have been just be a bit fuller. The last delivery was certainly a lot fuller, better length. Still a little bit wide of off stump, but certainly a much better length.
I just want to fast forward a little bit in this test match, boys, and I know that the general consensus from the commentators is that Australia would have woken up this morning and realised in a good position, just 3 down on day one, and would have been looking next towards the 500 mark. In the air for a while, but nicely struck. Carl Abbott, who's done some work today, is chasing that one down. Shane Watson's going to come back for the third, and he does so quite comfortably. What are your thoughts on this surface? How's this surface going to be by the time that South Africa have an opportunity later on today to have a bit of a bat? Mikey, what are your thoughts compared to yesterday?
It looks a little bit quicker than it was yesterday. That's the first thing. But I suspect that a few balls will start keeping low when the ball gets soft. We saw the ball that Dean Elgar got his wicket with. That kept low, inside edge onto the stumps. We also saw a ball that pitched in a bit of rough from JP Dumini that spun. And that rough is getting bigger. Nathan Lyon, he'll be eyeing that rough up.
I think the Australians too, they've come to the ground, as you mentioned, in a strong position, and if they've had a chat in the dressing room, you would tend to have suggested that they've decided they want to really try and reinforce this advantage that they do have, and they were aggressive this morning. We saw Smith play 3 shots over the top, which he managed to hit some sixes and some boundaries. I think Shane Warne was maybe having a little quiet nap there, and the boys realised he's been caught out on TV. Can't hide anyway, Warne. You've got to go to the change room if you want to have a doo-doo. But yeah, I think they want to speed up the game. 415 for 4. They want to give themselves as much time as possible to bowl South Africa out. They're in a strong position. They're going to try and push home the advantage.
Don't worry, Mikey, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to hear that over the next couple of days. You'll hear it about 1 million times over the next couple of days. Bit of turn there. Nathan Lyon will be sitting upright in the change room, closely watching what is happening, because there's no doubt that Mitchell Johnson is going to provide some areas for him to bowl into. He's going to be able to play a bit of an attacking role as well on this sort of surface. Nathan Lyon in the first innings normally adopts that defensive mode first up and attacks, or tries to attack as best as possible he can in the second. Did a sterling job also of Port Elizabeth, picking up 5 wickets in the first innings.
Before you even get to Nathan Lyon, I think Mitchell Johnson himself, South Africa will be hoping that this pitch doesn't start having inconsistent bounce too early, because at his pace, if some are bouncing normally and some are keeping low, that will be a big problem.
And it's a good selection also with Pattinson. He's got some gas as well. Mentioned he hasn't played for a long time in a first-class game, but he's nice and aggressive. He tried to mix it as often as he could with the South Africans, and the South Africans were in Australia.
We saw Michael Clark not sure whether he should or shouldn't go under the deliveries from Morne Morkel. Mitchell Johnson's a difficult customer at the best of times to decide whether you can get underneath him or not, because he's very skiddy when he bowls that short delivery.
Cries of catcher, but that's hammered through the offside, through extra cover for 4.
Yeah, this was hit with some serious power by Michael Clark. Sliding delivery from Elgar, drifting back in towards the stumps. Foolish in length. Michael Clark more than equal to the task. Here we have a look at it. Drifts in. He just smashes it through the offside. Allowed to free his arms through the width. Wonderful placement. As you mentioned, there was a cry of catch it, but no real danger.
134 now for Clark. +1. $423 for 4. So just a couple of balls left now to round off some entertaining play this morning. Michael Clark has certainly been the star of the show today. Watson's hit one up in the air. Now no one knows what this is. Vernon Philander hasn't seen that at all. Vernon Philander did not see that at all. He thought it was going to long on. It was a shot that was meant to go in that direction with two men back, and it didn't end up too far away from Vernon. There you go. There he says, I didn't see it.
I was funny enough, I watched Vernon straight away. As the ball was played, I saw it come off the outside edge, and I looked Vernon, he didn't move. And I thought that surely that's not going to go straight to you. And we look at it. It clears the boundary, but if he'd been on the rope and waiting for the ball to come, he might have been able to take the catch, but he didn't see it whatsoever.
He actually looked across towards long on, towards Morne Morkel. That was his initial reaction. Now he's in the game again. And gets a little bit of a Bronx cheer from the crowd. So that is the end of that over. Michael Clark has been superb. He battled yesterday. It was a gutsy knock, courageous knock. He got through it. He decided to put away a couple of shots and just take a couple of bruises. That's why those flags are flying at the moment, because the skipper has notched up another Test 100. 100 runs scored in the session, just the one wicket down, and that is a good start to day 2 for them.
Good afternoon, everybody. A wonderful picture here at Sahara Park, Newlands. Though actually a very windy picture, although it looks pretty. It's suddenly flowy as anything, and that's going to be painful for the bowlers. No bowler likes to bowl in the wind. In fact, at the moment, no South Africa likes to bowl, because the Australians have built a formidable first innings score. Here come the umpires, anoraked up because the temperatures dropped quite considerably out there. It's supposed to be the last day of inclement weather, and then it's supposed to settle back into winds coming from the south, and that ought to improve the weather. But it's 434 for 4. Michael Clark's unbeaten with 137. That's, well, it's probably not the innings of the match so far, because David Warner did so much to take away any hope from the South Africans first up. But what Clark has done is repel everything that Morne Morkel and others have to throw at him. And along with Shane Watson, they've already put on 33 since Steve Smith got out. South Africa have the extra problem of Dale Steyn being off the field with this hamstring injury. So they've had to go through the last session yesterday and this session today, or this first session today, without the premier bowler in the world, and that is a hard call for Graham Smith and his side. Now they've got these blowy conditions, and they keep looking at that scoreboard, and they keep seeing the series get further and further away from them. Having said that, there's much to celebrate, not least the performance of the Australian captain, who's shown courage and skill, and he's reminded everybody that he's about big scores. That's the other point. He's just got to 100 and frittered it away. He's worked hard for the extra 37, so he's now 137 not out. Very good crowd in again today. A lot of interest in the cricket, though increasingly as you walk around the ground, South Africans are coming up with a look of despair on their faces. H.D. Ackerman is alongside me, and Tom Moody too. It's you know, given the balance of the first two games and the wild exchanges between these two sides, it's almost unfathomable that something a little more a little quieter and more mundane has happened this morning.
the expectations from the South African public, I should actually say the Cape Town public, was massive. This has been a fortress for South Africa for some time. They've got a very good record here. The likes of Philander and Steyn have always had great success on a Newland surface that has nipped around and created problems for batsmen. But they were greeted on day one by something quite placid, and the Australians have made full use of it.
Which is hard to understand, really, because a flat wicket really plays into Australia's hands, given that they've got the one specialist spinner. JP Duminy is considered the specialist spinner for this match, and the last match for that matter, for South Africa. He's still very much a part-time spinner that bats in the top 6 and does that well, given he got 100 in the second test.
Yeah, JP.
Yeah, he is considered the spinner in the side, but Elgar keeps bowling more overs than him. Elgar's bowled 22 in this innings, Duminy 10.
Elgar has bowled the ball with a touch more air, and so there's been, given the breeze, a little bit of deception in the flight and occasionally a bit of spin. Duminy bowls it pretty flat and quick. When we talk about a flat pitch, we ought to explain that the difference between here and Port Elizabeth was that this pitch started very dry, and there's really, if the ball is short, it just sits up for the spinners. It's hard to time a cut shot, for example. Oh, Watson's given, that's really good hit. That's right out of his bracket. That area, straightish mid-wicket. He's as good as anybody.
We see it so often in T20 cricket, 50-over cricket, and it hasn't taken long on this good surface, and with Australia in such a commanding position, for Watson to put the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, and on this good word used by HD, placid pitch, you need a bit of muscle, and that's what Warner had, and that's what Shane Watson has, if you're to score at any pace. He goes again. This time he goes straighter. Hashim Amla. Hashim Amla! A finger-tipper. And another boundary for Watson.
He showed some intent before lunch, and there was a little half chance for Vernon Philander at long off. Again, not quite going where Watson intended it. But he has got that muscle, and he gets just enough of it.
No run.
And you fellas might have missed it, but Michael Holding did a little chat with Mike Hazeman at the luncheon interval with regard to both Philander and Kyle Abbott, and he felt that they bowled from the incorrect ends at the start of play, and that the wind would have been assisting Abbott.
I'm just going to interrupt you to say, have you seen that before? Somebody's red baseball cap has flown off his head and is now a distraction to the batsman. And there goes a little boy. Thank you, sir. Problem solved. Sorry, HD.
No problem. Michael felt that this is the end that Abbott should have bowled from, that the wind would have assisted him in what he was trying to do, which was nip it back in to Michael Clarke. And Philander, who likes to take the ball away from the right-hander, might have been better served bowling from the Kelvin end.
The short of the man, perfectly positioned by Graham Smith, and the ball doesn't get there. The second test match in a row where edges have not carried to the slips, and that cannot be a good thing.
Great frustration for any bowler that finds the edge, particularly with a batsman going hard at the ball. You expect the edges to carry. Clarke pushing out well in front of his body, so he hasn't played with soft hands, which we often talk about when a ball lands short.
No!
I suppose that's further confirmation about this wicket. You may expect that on day 4 or 5 of a surface that is starting to wear and get tired. A bit of sting and pace has come out of it, but on day 2 And even yesterday, there was a couple of edges that fell well short of the slips, and that can't be good.
And I don't think it's a question of sour grapes for the South Africans, because they weren't particularly happy with the Port Elizabeth pitch either. You know, even though they had a victory at the end of it, they did feel there was a lack of grass.
No run.
Score remains the same, 444 for 4.
JP Duminy continues to Shane Watson. That's good thinking by Smith. He's seen that Watson wants a piece of Duminy, and he's prepared to pay a little price for his wicket if Watson wants to go chasing the game again. The men back are mid-on, mid-off, mid-wicket. Watson's hitting into the breeze, if anything. The breeze is swirling, but, well, I don't know. It's swirling so much so, and maybe not now.
Well, the last time Shane Watson got 100 for Australia was in Perth. Last summer in Australia in the Ashes was 103 off 108 balls, and the game was pretty much set up for him just to put the foot on the accelerator, which it is here today. He had 5 sixes and 11 fours that innings, so he could be in for another Watson treat.
And then to add big insult to England's injuries at that stage of the Ashes, George Bailey took 28 of one James Anderson over. 28.
Oh, no!
That's how strong the wind is. The bails are blown off. Most cricket grounds have a set of heavier bails that they bring out if there are extreme conditions. Those are them, I'd say. That darker colour suggests normally the pale pine colour of the stumps blown away by the breeze. I have known a situation where the umpires decided to remove the bails altogether, so bad was the wind, and play without them. Okay, well, these are the two balls to watch out for. The ball, it's the last ball of the over. Watson will flex his muscles. Although Duminy will plan for it. Duminy will know that Watson wants after him. The clever thing from Watson would be to knock a single into all these spaces now, which he tries to do but can't. It's 446 for 2, for 4. Partnership after partnership. South Africa unable to take a little rush of wickets. There they are, those much heavier bails that hopefully stay in place.
No.
But those partnerships really tell the story of the innings. At no stage have South Africa managed to arrest any control from the Australians, who started sensibly with Warner his usual self and Rogers playing straight man to Warner's brilliance, and since then they've all batted as if not just the series but careers depended upon it.
I think the other thing, when you see a partnership graph like that shows consistency, it tells you a lot about the wicket. And generally, as a batsman, the first 30 balls you face, you're at your most vulnerable. And this wicket, it's not that challenging to come in and get settled. So therefore, to get those partnerships up and running, they tend to happen a lot easier than it would do if you had a surface that was a little bit more challenging, whether it be through seam movement or swing or pace and bounce.
Man back at deep square.
For all his faux pas in the media and at various press conferences over the last few years, I think that David Warner is such a massive asset to the Australian side. A lot will be made of the Michael Clarke innings, and rightly so, but throughout this series he's been the man that has put the South African bowling attack, the much vaunted South African bowling attack, under pressure from the very first ball.
Well, it's a great thing to be able to open the innings with someone who can play so many strokes against the new ball. Of late, Virender Sehwag has been the man who's done that best probably in the world game for India, particularly on home pitches. Having said that, he played a couple of brilliant innings in Australia and one in England that I remember, but it does help.
Oh, absolutely, and for a period there, Sanat Jayasuriya for Sri Lanka did the same thing up the top of the order with Marvin Atapattu. Before you know it, you're chasing the game, and that's exactly what happened in the first half an hour to an hour yesterday, where Australia are going at 4.5 clicks and over. It was nearly like a 50-over game, the tone that was set. And Warner wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. He was just looking for runs and doing it through constructive shot play, and because he's always looking to score, it puts the pressure back on the opponent. The opponent's thinking, or the bowler's thinking at the top of his mark, where do I bowl to this next one? Because when I go short, he's prepared to hook. When I'm slightly full, he'll drive me.
Yeah, in the modern era of the game, the best opening players have had that relationship. We'll dwell on that in a minute. It's 48 for 4. 139 now for Michael Clarke, 33 for Shane Watson, and an afternoon kip for Shane Keith Warne.
Wakey, wakey. There's a lot happening behind those sunnies.
I think Michael Clarke has seen it on the big screen. I think the world has seen Warney having a kip, and the captain probably knows where he was. He's certainly been a good presence around the Australian dressing room this last 4 or 5 days. He brings such a positive attitude to life. There will have been some tension going into this match, and he will have managed to somehow dissolve that tension. He's amusing, he's got this fantastic cricket brain, and he's got such presence. He makes you feel good about yourself. He's just happy just to stoush with Sean Pollock this morning.
Yeah, he would have got much better opposition from Wessels than from Pollock.
One thing he is smart. You want to go in the ring with Kepler Wessels. Watson's given it a proper hit, proper slap.
Well, this is his area. He loves the sweep slog, tossed up ever so slightly, which Watson doesn't need the invitation, but he's accepted this one. Thank you very much.
Well, he is hitting into the breeze. I mean, that is predominantly where the wind's coming from, and he's hitting into it. He hits early at those slog sweeps. He gets the ball a long way out in front of him, hitting the length of it. And now he goes down the ground. However, Hashim Amla takes the catch. And Newlands has something to cheer.
One too many. It was there to hit dead straight. I don't know why Watson is holding on here. Are they looking for the front foot? No ball. Oh dear. I think he might be just okay.
Yeah. Some part of the foot must be grounded, or must be behind the line. Not grounded, sorry, must be behind the line, and I reckon it is just a little piece of it.
Watson looking to go drag it wide of mid-on, and therefore splicing the ball out to deep mid-off to Amla. Watson goes for 40. It's 456 for 5.
And from one ball striker to another, Shane Watson back in the hutch, and Brad Haddin out at the wicket. Michael Clark's on strike because they cross. There's still 2 balls of this over left.
No!
Watson looking to go over the leg side with this, therefore just splicing it and spooning it out over deep mid-off, and Amla sits under a simple one.
Yeah, I think we can give Duminy some credit for that, having given the ball air previously and been hit for 6. He then sensed Watson wanted more, as he'd done in the over before last, and bowled it quite a lot wider, so he knew Watson had to fetch it a lot further. 457 for 5.
No!
We were talking about opening partnerships and the value of having a combination of fast scorer and accumulator, and we were thinking who the others were that have done. I mean, actually that was the foundation upon which Matthew Hayden and Justin Langer had a great deal of success. Hayden a natural aggressor, and Langer who played much more within himself. To a degree, Gary Kirsten and Herschel Gibbs, I mean, they didn't bat together as much as Langer and Hayden, but they're another good example of how such a partnership works. Lovely cover driving of the highest quality.
Abbott's bowled a serious amount of deliveries to Michael Clarke this morning and again this afternoon, and he hasn't given him anything to hit. The first sign of a mistake, and the quality player puts it away.
Who are the others? Who opened with Sanat Jayasuriya? I know in one-day cricket Ramesh Kalavitrana for a time, but he had a mixture of opening partnerships. Yeah, Marvin for a time.
Yeah, Marvin Adapadu spent a lot of time at the top of the order with Jayasuriya. You've got another pair in Greenwich and Haynes. They used to go at a fair click.
Yes, they were both proficient technically, but had that West Indian blood in them. Loved to attack, particularly against the short ball. Maybe Desmond had a greater reference to defence than Gordon, though Gordon was if he played on a bad wicket, he could play fabulous innings that were based on defence. There's Gary Kirsten, who's a batting consultant to the South African team.
Well, when did the run rates increase significantly? Was it not under Steve Waugh, where Australia said we're going to score at 3.5 to an over, or somewhere around that region? It just saw run rates increase. There's Gary Kirsten's opening partner, Herschel Gibbs, hiding behind Sean Pollock.
Yeah, I think Steve Waugh talked about that, but he really had the players to do it. and that was the most important thing. You've got to have the cattle, and he certainly had that, and he just wanted more time for his bowlers to take the 20 wickets needed to win a test. 462 for 5.
And that partnership by Chris Rogers and David Warner was effective on the first day. Rogers only made 25 of them, but again, if you can just stop that new ball. If you've got the perfect relationship, there should be 2 here for Clark, and he comes back, and there are. Well, actually, there wouldn't have been, because I think Hadim would have been run out.
It was always going to be tight, but a throw off balance needed to be spot on. Haddon gave up on it. The throw was wide.
Thought of another. Michael Slater and Mark Taylor.
Good call. Yeah, Slater used to go after it, didn't he? Ball 1. If it was there to hit, crack.
Such a talent, Slat. Really, he could really play. Now, he was one who used the crease so well, the depth of the crease going back and the stride going forward.
Another one is Chris Gale and Kieran Powell. They had a 254-run partnership against New Zealand just recently in 2012, and they can imagine that would have been going at a fair rate with Gale at the crease.
I'm sure it was just recently we hit the first ball of a test match for 6. Chris Gale. I want to say recently, going back about a year ago.
And it's 466 for 5.
Tell me. What?
It's this view at Newlands where this strong wind is coming across the ground and not making it very pleasant out there for the bowling attack, but the batsmen are going along almost serenely here. 466 for 5 as Kyle Abbott bowls for an advancing Brad Haddin. There's a change in the commentary box where Kepler Wessels and Robin Jackman will be with Pommy and Bangwa.
Thank you, Mark. He's worked pretty hard. Kyle Abbott into his 27th over. Bowled well today. Got into a good rhythm this morning, created some good pressure. No wickets for him yet, but doing a good job for his side. I was out there at lunchtime and the pitch still looks pretty good from a batting point of view. Hardly any scuff marks there. A little bit of rough, but nothing to be too concerned about from a batsman's viewpoint.
Yes, it's been really a case of putting the foot down for Australia. And that is a shot as well, typical of Brad Haddin. That's the way he looks to play. What about that for some weather? The wind's been blustery all through the day, but in the distance there, the clouds, the dark clouds, not looking so good. Tough to bowl in this, running against it.
No run.
Tested, very much so, the South African side. 467 for 5, Australia, and it's been all the Aussies. 149 on the board. He's come back here. It wasn't the last innings he played. Remember, they were bowled out for 47 as well. But that innings where he got 150 was a superb one. Direct contrast, you'd say, to this one, where he's had to battle up at the front and then get into his flow. In so doing, setting up his side beautifully.
That innings was on a different surface. The ball was decking around all over the place, so his technique was tested and his concentration. But in this innings, the pitch was flatter, but his bravery and his fortitude was tested yesterday. So on both counts, he's come through strongly, Michael Clarke.
How nice it would be, and I'm not too sure if it would make a huge difference. And the reason I say I'm not too sure, you can't see into the future, you can't tell what might well happen. But Dale Stein's a big miss for Graham Smith, the fact that he's injured, particularly because of him being the leader of the South African attack. When something's desperate, a situation, Smith turns to him on many an occasion, and most times he delivers. Whose role is it this time when he's not there? 467 for 5. Despite not many wickets falling, there's been lots to see for this crowd that's turned up. Shots like that, that's a beauty of a shot. Picked his spot, Haddin, and just helped it over the infield into the gap at mid-wicket for 4.
Simple, wasn't it? Very simple. Left foot in the right place. The length was right to be able to get under it. There was no one out there. Picked a spot and hit it there.
Carrying on where Shane Watson left off. Also played a couple of good shots over mid-wicket.
Such confident cricket, such a confident display from those who are the shot makers in the Australian side. It's all well and good being in the good position and having the license to try and put the foot down, but as much as cricket is a team game, it's also an individual one. Various players fighting different things in terms of positions in the side and kind of coming off lean runs and such like. So to just do what's necessary for the team takes a side that's happy, a side that's comfortable, and that's well aware of what roles each one plays and what needs to be done. What a turnaround from 4 or 5 months ago.
No, totally. So Australia working away towards what they believe will be enough. Possibly we think around the 520 mark. I want at least a session to bowl on day 2.
Copy.
4-7-1 for 5.
Haddon, who had such a wonderful series against the English with the bat in the Ashes series in Australia, hasn't scored too many in this series so far. Tommy was talking about Dale Steyn and how much he's being missed at the moment, and used the word very much, the leader of the pack, and it's used in a real way, that, because it's not just the leader because he's the premier fast bowler in the world right now, but Alan Donald, the bowling coach, goes to Dale to lift practices, all sorts of things. You know, when Steyn runs in the nets, everybody else picks up and runs in the nets. He uses him as his leader, as it were. With him injured, he probably turns to Morne Morkel to do that role. So it's a word meant in lots of different ways. He's not only just the best, he's the guy. Pulled away well enough. Just had plenty of time to play that shot, and that takes him through to an outstanding 150.
10th time that Michael Clarke goes past 150 in Test match cricket. He's prolific as a run scorer for Australia. A fighting innings this has been, and he's fought his way to fluency as he continues to pile on the runs. 2 Test matches, 250s. He'll say that he likes Newlands.
Strong statement to the rest of his team, leading from the front. Michael Clarke came through a very tough period last night, survived that, and then since then he's batted beautifully. Makes such a difference when your captain's in form and when he deals with pressure situations as well as Michael Clarke did yesterday afternoon.
Oh, shot. Driven on the up. It won't go for 4, but it sure was a beautiful shot.
A little bit of Cape Town weather coming in now. Hint of a drizzle. Blowing. There's a couple of drops on a camera lens. The wind is so strong, I don't see it settling in.
Oh, issue with the umpire there. Kyle Abbott was stopped as he ran in. Something's got into Damascena's eye. Looks like he's struggling there, you know. Got it. Okay. Away we go. Well fielded. Good movement, A.B. de Villiers. Oh, hello. Doesn't look good. Come on then, weatherman Jackman.
Haven't got a clue.
This is your neck of the woods.
still don't have a clue.
All right, I'll find somebody from Johannesburg to tell me. Or Port Elizabeth.
Well, that's what usually happens at Test match grounds when you travel from Cape Town to, it's 478 for 5, by the way. You travel from your hometown to Johannesburg, and everyone in Joburg says to you, "What's the weather going to do today?" I don't know. You live here. I don't. It's looking very threatening. The wind's blowing so hard, I don't think the rain will hit the ground. It'll just be horizontal.
.478 for 5.
So a couple of wickets for JP Duminy. He's bowled 15 overs, picked up 2 for 68. So he's done a job for Graham Smith in the absence of a frontline spinner.
Both not big turners of the ball, so difficult to say whether even right now it would be spinning already. And we'll only get an idea when Nathan Lyon has a go, who does turn it more than both Elgar and Duminy.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think what that is as well, Mitchell Johnson will create some footmarks outside the right-hander's off stump, and then by day 4, afternoon of day 4 and day 5, he should get some spin, Nathan Lyon, out of those footmarks. The surface is very dry, so it will break up in those areas.
There's also a huge difference bowling with runs on the board and without.
And bowling with fielders around the bat.
So often it's only one that needs to jump or turn a great deal, or not so if it's turning consistently. And it creates a lot of difficulty.
Well, Claude Henderson, South African spin consultant, he was telling me a little bit earlier today that if he bowled on this pitch on day 4, he'd be turning it a mile and it would be bouncing, and he would be an absolute handful.
I'm going to take the word of the spin coach then. Might also have a word with him a bit later. Sweeper out there, just the one to finish the over off. 480 for 5.
Yet another pair of gloves for Michael Clarke. A few Aussie supporters.
So a tough day for the bowlers, the wind making it very difficult from a bowling point of view. As Pommy Mbangwa and Robin Jackman alluded to earlier, it's not easy when you run into bowl and the wind blows like that, especially when it's blustery. Upsets your rhythm as you get in your gather, just bowls or blows you out of alignment.
It's hard enough, even if you're running with the wind. When it's blustery, sometimes just blows you forward, but that much harder when you're having to run against it. Catches the call, it's wide of mid-on, and it'll go for 4. Vernon Philander back in the attack and dispatched first up.
Doesn't affect the batting, because you've got a pretty stable base from a batting point of view, so the wind, there's no real issue there. strong through and over the leg side. That's a good strike.
Haddon's an aggressive player at the best of times. When he's in a situation where he has a license to play as many shots as he wants to, he can be very, very dangerous indeed.
What the Australian side has been good at doing, and South Africa were good at this in the game that they won in Port Elizabeth. So first test match, you watched the Aussies and were there to put the foot down. They did, and they recognized when it was they could put extra pressure on South Africa. A bowling change here, and Vernon Philander is coming back into the attack to do some work as well. And first up, they're onto catches the call. Well, it's not going to carry to Hashim Amla in the deep.
Yeah, I was just thinking from a declaration point of view, if I was captain, what I would have liked to have done was have a small or a short stint just before the tea break, just to make it uncomfortable for the opposing opening batsman. Maybe let them bat for 20 minutes and then have another go straight after the tea break.
It might well be what he's thinking. Michael Clarke, still some time to tea. And just to complete the point on putting pressure on opposition and Philander back into the attack, they've attacked him straight away. And if he's gone for 5 now, a couple of balls to go, and if they manage in his first couple of overs to just dispatch him and take 10, 12, 14 runs off him, it forces Smith's hand again to go back into the spin that he's coming from. To alter his plans.
Michael Clarke, I think, looking for a wide there. It seemed a bit of a bouncy guy. This one bounced quite high. Doesn't get it. That's a second for the over, though.
Yes. No, mate. No, mate.
486 for 5. It's a lot of work. 126 overs. Philander 26, Morne Morkel 23, 24 really, best part of it. Abbott 28. Elgar's got through 22. Here's Duminy. He's bowling his 17th. Where's that wind again?
Still content just to tick it over Michael Clarke. So maybe he's thinking more in the direction of 520, 550. And a declaration perhaps after tea.
The crowd catch. Didn't quite get all of that outside half of the bat. Quinton de Kock does the fielding. Ryan McLaren also on the park. I thought I saw him actually.
Got him. Hit it straight to mid-off. Duminy gets a third.
Trying to up the pace, Brad Haddon trying to get on with it, looking to clear mid off but not getting underneath it enough. So JP Duminy picks up his third. Brad Haddon had a brilliant series against England during the Ashes, but so far hasn't been successful with the bat. Good solid catch by Hashim Amla.
Haddon goes for a breezy 13 and the 6th wicket falls at 489.
Mitchell Johnson walks in for Australia. He's got a best score against South Africa, 123 not out. It was right here in Cape Town as well. Average just about 22 and a half. Doesn't mind giving it a wallop, and this is just the situation. Field spread far and wide. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. Big shout, huge shout. And it's not the stumping they're going for. The skipper's not on the field, so they're going to go upstairs. Yeah, they are. Maybe de Villiers, vice-captain, says, right, I'm going upstairs. I reckon he's going for the court behind.
So do I. There was a noise, that's for sure. Just depends on whether he hit the ground or whether there was bat involved.
JP Duminy the one who's really confident. I've got a funny feeling it's bat on the ground, not bat on the ball, but all will be revealed.
All is revealed. I reckon that's, if the noise is what we thought it was, that's off the bat. It's far away from the pad. Hot spot. Oh, there's something there. There's a little thing there. Snicko. There you go, little edge. It's ever so slight. You know, on the hot spot, I say there's something there, and you really have to look closely. Nothing, and then there's just a little mark there. If you look at it, there's just the little mark that's there after the ball goes past. And Snicko suggests that's correct. There you go. Not my opinion that counts, of course. Over to you, Jackers.
Mine doesn't count either. But you've convinced me. And I reckon he's going to have to reverse this decision.
Kepler? Oh, never mind, Kepler. We don't have to get your opinion.
You called it correctly. So Mitchell Johnson, he goes off the very first delivery that he's faced. Australia now 489 for 7 and a career best for JP Duminy.
So the players are in the middle of a rather lengthy drinks break at the moment as we reflect on what's happened for Australia. A couple of wickets going down the last couple of balls. JP Duminy, who is now on a hat-trick. He's picked up his career best figures, 4 for 73 at this stage. But at the end of over number 127, 489 for 7 it is now. And I'm sure there's no doubt there's some thought from these guys, the top order batsmen. They'll be thinking about, okay, we're going to be batting soon. This isn't going to be easy. Graeme Smith was off the park when that was sent upstairs for the review. Should have handed things over to AB de Villiers. to be in charge in the middle. He obviously consulted with a few. There's Michael Clarke back on the park, just taking a bit of a convenience break by the look of things. Here's confirmation of real-time Snicko, confirming there was a little bit of an edge. He hasn't had the best time, but of late with the review calls, Graham Smith. And he was delighted to witness the boys getting that right as they went upstairs. Hey, Peter Villiers.
Maybe say we've got 2 wickets while you're off the field. Off you go.
So 489 for 7. Mitchell Johnson gone first ball. We'll see him in action, I'm sure, not too far away with the ball in his hand, steaming in. Have a go at the top order batsman for South Africa. It's been a very good performance by Australia. The new batsman is Ryan Harris. A couple of wickets off the last 2 balls. Still blustery in the middle, as you can see by some of our camera shots. Our boys are just starting to struggle a little bit with this breeze, this wind, I should say. Here we go. There's some running repairs with the umbrella as well. Meanwhile, it's Michael Clarke on 160. 300 balls exactly. 7 hours he's been batting. Quick single. Gets down the other end.
Few wickets have fallen at the other end to Michael Clarke, but he doesn't look too perturbed. I think management and the captain has given the other batsmen freedom, play some shots, get some runs on the board. That was Shane Watson's attitude, and that's the way he plays best. Release him, tell him go out and have some fun. Bit of water on the lens and a few dark clouds around.
Yeah, it's certainly looking a little bit threatening. If it does come in, which it looks like it might be on the way, it's a little bit earlier than what was forecast. Let's hope that the wind just blows it through pretty quickly. So the top order batsman for South Africa, we're thinking, okay, 7 down. These guys are still going to look to play some shots. Things might happen pretty quickly, so it won't be too long before we're going to be out there having a bat against a rampant Mitchell Johnson, and Patton's in the lineup as well. He's sharp, he's aggressive, so they're going to have a couple of guys who are going to be firing on all cylinders at numbers 1, 2 and 3. In their mind, of course, they're a bit worried about the light, I guess, and concerned about the weather. Top edge. Straight over the top of the keeper, and that's gone for 4.
Ball banged in by Philander. Harris decides to take it on. We saw him play some wonderful pull shots in the test match at Port Elizabeth. It looks like the players are going to leave the field. The rain's got stronger, and the umpires have made a decision. They've said we're going to leave the playing surface and get these covers on as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so just 4 runs in to Ryan Harris off the 3rd ball he faced, and the players are now jogging off. Well played, Michael Clarke. This really has been an outstanding performance from the Australian captain. I'll be fascinated to actually hear where he rates this in his distinguished career. He'll be very proud of the way that he resisted and showed great courage yesterday and wore a few bruises, and then continued again today. JP Duminy, the most successful of the bowlers. He's picked up 4 wickets for 73 runs off his 17 overs this session. Almost 14 overs. South Africa will be happy that they got 3 sticks. Run rate at just a shade under 4.5, and conditions now, Mikey, this isn't your sort of weather.
At least it's not cold, easy, so we'll manage. Well, this was forecast, but not quite for this time of the day. I think the forecast had this coming in perhaps another 2 hours from now. But as the strong winds that we are seeing continues to blow, perhaps
It will not just blow the covers away, but will blow the rain away as well.
Good luck to the ground staff. These boys are really battling. Look at this. They get here at about 5 o'clock every morning. Have to take the covers off in the morning, and obviously they're on standby for anything that comes their way. The big tyres all over the place as we leave the ground at night, but they're certainly battling now, trying to get the big covers on. First of all, there's a smaller cover. There it is, that goes over the pitch. And then they drag out the big one to put on top of that to make sure that the square is covered in essence. If they're worried about any serious rain, then they'll look after the run-ups as well. But things seem to have settled down a little bit. In fact, the rain seems to have stopped. So this has come through pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to be too long before we maybe get the players back on the park, because it has certainly stopped, and the ground staff are struggling.
He was pulled by the cover. It was actually amazing. He was pulled for about 5 meters. He was holding on for dear life, but he couldn't manage to. There he goes again. It's comedy for us up here, but I'm sure they're not enjoying it down there. Here we go. Have a look at this replay. This is in real time. Hasn't got a peg to tie it down, so has to keep holding onto the corner piece. And then all of a sudden the wind started to blow, and he was starting to take off.
Batten down the hatches. Here we go. This is the boys struggling to get it right, and they almost got it right, and then suddenly on a length.
He was actually dragged for about 3 or 4 meters. There we go. Have a look at him. He's on a ride.
Trials and tribulations of being one of the ground staff. Not an easy job at the best of times. There's the head groundsman, Evan Flint, looking a little bit concerned. It now looks like they're nailing it down, but as I said, it looks like the rain has stopped. In fact, the umpires have decided to walk out in the middle to have a bit of a look and see how long it's going to take for the ground staff maybe to get rid of these covers. I would imagine probably about 5 seconds.
All they have to do is just lift them and let them go. They'll just blow off the field.
Evan's been here for some time these days, so he will know where the weather's coming from and what it's going to be looking like and how much it's going to stick around for. Let's just have a look and get you a bit of an update as to where we are at this stage as we look back at Australia's batting card. It's healthy, it's very healthy. Rogers and Warner got going. Warner was magnificent. They got off like rockets in the first couple of hours of this test match. Clark is still there, not out, 161. Smith taking some audacious shots for his 84. Watson wasted no time, 40 off 32. Haddon missed out again, but he was looking to be aggressive, and Johnson departed pretty quickly. And Harris has just arrived with a couple of Pattinson and Lyon, a couple of batsmen to come. Let's have a look at the wickets. Australia have been terrific in this test match. This is the first to go down.
Seems like a long time ago that Dale Steyn was in action. Got the ball in a nice length. Rogers just pushing out hard in front of himself. Gets the outside edge and a good catch by Graham Smith. And then after some good pressure built by Abbott and Vernon Philander, Doolan tried to pick up the pace and play the pick-up pull. Fortunately for him, didn't work out. Just hold out to Dale Steyn, who moved nice and briskly around to pick up the catch. This was the third wicket to go. The big wicket, JP Duminy came into the attack. Man with a golden arm found the outside edge with the ball that just straightened. AB de Villiers grabbed on the second take, and this was this morning. Steve Smith, who didn't look bothered at all, played some wonderful shots, lofted drives over the bowler's head, a short delivery, and stayed down a touch and dragged it on.
Yeah, that's when the disaster started, you could say. They're not very good in the 400s, Australia. They lost their fourth wicket on 401, then the fifth at 456, the sixth at 489, and the seventh at 489 again. Hat-trick, of course, for JP Duminy. He'll be hoping that this rain clears so that he can get an opportunity of the hat-trick.
And this is Mitchell Johnson, who's just arrived. Just a bit of a tickle on that one. Graham Smith was off the park. A bit of a chat from AB de Villiers. They decided to send it upstairs. There it is, just a little flick off the face, really. So 7 down. 494 it is. The ground staff have been struggling. Have a look at this. They really are battling with these covers. We told you it's not taken long to get these covers off the ground. Maybe they're trying already. Look at this, straight away. Drags them away. Some of them have given up. That wind is quite severe now.
And there will be no further play today, so day 3 will be on air at 9:45 for half an hour earlier as a start time, which will be 10 o'clock. I hope you can join us then.
Catch! Lovely cover driving of the highest quality. He's done it! Battered, bruised, but not beaten.
Pulled away, and that takes him through to an outstanding 150.
This is a presentation of Fox Sports.